Hello everybody and welcome to Pisa Presents. Now we're going to be taking a look into the world of some extinct marine reptiles. And first of all, a slight but not really apology for the clickbaity kind of look of the title photo right there, but really, would have many of y'all clicked on it if you just saw an ichthyosaurus? No, I get it, I'd be the same way. So, henceforth, let's go take a peek. Now, speaking ichthyosaurus, there's our dear friend right there. So, kind of what do we know about them? Well, the name means fish lizard. Properly, they're an entire clade, Ichthyosauria. They were around from about 250 to, that's rather up to debate, 95 to 85 million years ago they went extinct. Now, there were lots of different species, and they had a very great diversity in size. They also, too, evolved from land-dwelling animals and were once a top predator. I mean, if you think about them, they're very, very streamlined, they're very adept. So you kind of compare them nowadays to, say, like a killer whale or just something along those lines, just when you think about, like, overall just adaptability to size and body shape. Yeah, they really knew what they were doing. Now, that is an ichthyosaur vertebra from the Jurassic in Germany, and it really gives you an idea, I think, of just style and function. I mean, it's not very ornate, it's just compact, it's very, very well designed. Now, every science has to start somewhere. And the great thing about science and paleontology in general is that it grows with the information that we get. This obviously was not the correct information, but it was the best application of the information that we had at the time being 1863. Now, obviously, ichthyosaurs did not like shoot water out their eyeballs or something, but you know what? Not everybody was as skilled as that lady right there. So, Mary Anning, for those that haven't heard of her, was an absolute legend in paleontology. She was probably, not probably, I would say she would be definitely the biggest marine reptile paleontologist that we had in history. She not only pioneered a lot of the work with ichthyosaurs, but she also did a lot of work with coprolites. Yes, that is fossil poo. That is a thing. She started it. Now, mesosaurs. So that's a given that gives you a little idea of about how big they are compared to the hand. Still, mesosaurs are pretty important, so don't let that size kind of fool you. Now, first of all, their name means middle lizard. They're from the Permian of Africa and South America. Their classification is kind of up to debate in terms of how they're related to whom and in what groups. People are still going back and forth about that, granted new information. And yes, while they're a bit smaller due to the hand, they're still a very culturally significant fossil. And also, at one part, they were apparently used as a cooktop lid. So the original really big specimen, well, meaning important, specimen of Mesosaurus, for a while not being known what it was being used, what its significance really, its owner at the time was like, hey, that's a big lump of rock. I'll just stick it on top of my cook pot because I don't have a lid. So yeah, this hugely, significantly important fossil was actually basically being used as a stopper on a pot for a long time. Now, why are mesosaurs so important? Well, along with a couple of other key fossils like the fern Glossopteris and a few others, they were actually some of the key evidence for continental drift. Now, continental drift is an interesting thing. While it is known that the continents do drift, they do move around, they are never in the same spot. It's a weird thing, but I actually just saw a Facebook page earlier today where this person was arguing that continental drift was still a theory and basically that it was all a fairy tale. No, it's not. The continents are moving. That's just kind of how it is. Now, so how did people figure this out? Well, it was something that was being debated on, going back and forth for a while, but it really kind of only cemented itself back in the 70s. It was even still kind of debated about a little bit when I went to school in the early 80s. But so what happened was people were finding fossils, so say Mesosaurus, if you found Mesosaurus fossils in pretty much the same exact kind of rock, fossils of the same species, how on earth could you find these same exact rocks and fossils in, say, the southern tip of South America and the southern tip of Africa? Or, say, Glossopteris, this fern. How could you find the same kind of rocks, the same kind of fossils in Australia, Antarctica, Africa, India, South America? So basically, what people did was they kind of put the continents together like a little puzzle and just sort of finagled things around like that. And then they realized, well, golly gee, all these fossils that we keep finding in funny places, it's kind of like connect the dots. And so, yes, that's one of the many ways that we know that continental drift is a thing. Now, okay, yes, you could not mention Mosasaur without that one Jurassic World movie. Trust me, I didn't much like it either. Was that the one with Dimetrodon? I think it was. Oh God, I hated how they did Dimetrodon. Okay, I'm leaving now because I'm leaving this screen because that movie really ticked me off. Okay, now, New Jersey. The biggest complete specimen of a mosasaur is actually from New Jersey, the skeleton that we have. Not only that, they're very common fossils in New Jersey. People oftentimes they don't really think of New Jersey as being like a very important state for paleontology or really the geosciences in general, but I am a resident. I'm a Pennsylvania native, but currently a New Jersey resident. And whenever my husband and I go looking for fossils in, say, a lot of the various creeks in Monmouth County, a lot of the time I will indeed find mosasaur teeth. So now these are culturally significant. They're a very, very important species in terms of the history of paleontology. They were from the Cretaceous. They range from the size of a dolphin to over 40 feet long. So these things could be big buggers. Now, they had a lot of features similar to their extant cousins, the monitor lizards, and I will now duck the flying torches. They may have been warm-blooded. Again, emphasis may have been, don't come at me. Now, that is an example of how sometimes modern day paleontology art does not always work out very well, but yeah, we do get better over time. Now, another example of things changing over time is the Crystal Palace. So, back during the reign of Queen Victoria, and also to keep in mind that her husband was Prince Albert, the Prince Consort. Now, he was from Germany, and he was actually very, very much a sort of armchair geologist and paleontologist. So, when they did this science expo, he and Victoria, she actually put him in charge of a lot of things. And he wanted all of these paleo displays that showed up into that time the most up-to-date, the most accurate that science had to offer, because Albert was a stickler for that. And so amazingly enough, we still have some of these representations nowadays. They were built in an area called the Crystal Palace. This is obviously the mosasaur. And while, yes, that does not look a gosh darn thing like a mosasaur really looks like, again, that just shows you the progress that we have made in just really only a few years. Now, that is indeed what a mosasaur really looks like, specifically some of its teeth. That gives you kind of an idea, just showing it in the palm of your hand, what some of their teeth look like. Although something that I can definitely recommend is that mosasaur teeth, when you find them, I almost said in the wild, that makes them sound like, I don't know, they're a tiger or something. But really, keep in mind, they're just very, very worn in a creek. And also, commonly, they're not nearly that light colored. So, just keep an eye out for that. Now, this is just for funsies. I thought it was a cute little illustration of some of our new friends right here. Now, this is a form of Mosasaurus called Tylosaurus. It is there on the right in stamp form, which we need more fossils on stamps. We need, point of fact. Now, this fellow is a snake. Yes, there were quite a few fossil snakes. This fellow in particular, Paleophis, was 30 to 40 feet long. He was from the Cretaceous to the Eocene, and really just there was a family of these marine snakes that were going around from that period. And also, too, you look at those vertebrae, just how well notched they are with each other. I mean, really, when you think about it, a snake is kind of almost like, I hate to use the analogy, but these things are as flexible as slinkies practically. I mean, they have to be. And so just look, that vertebra there gives you a really good idea of just how flexible these are. But still, I mean, the spinal cord is very well protected. It's really, marine reptiles are just an absolute masterpiece of evolution with how well their skeletons are designed. Now, phytosaurs. So, back in the day, a bunch of people thought these were herbivores. Why? I don't know. People think really weird things sometimes. Now, locally, there is a particular phytosaur that's been found in Pennsylvania called Reptiles. So, another thing to keep your eye out for one of these days. Plesiosaurs, one of my personal favorites. I've always adored plesiosaurs ever since I was a little wee bean. Now, Plesiosauria is a clade from the Mesozoic. They've both been found in fresh and salt water, contrary to myth. They've been found in both. They include not only species such as Cryptoclydus, but also the elasmosaurs as well. And that particular name down there, I just thought it was really neat, but being somebody that's a reformed stutterer, there's no way in God's green earth y'all are getting me to pronounce that. I am not even looking at it because it's going to take me 5 hours just to get out the next sentence. Now, so they are about 5 to 50 foot long and have an extremely wide distribution. Now, Edward Drinker Cope. I kind of feel sorry for this guy. So this is, if anybody hasn't heard of an event called the Bone Wars, it was basically where two leading paleontologists, Cope, who is from Philly, and the other one was O.C. Marsh, who is also from the Northeast generally too, as well, if memory serves me. So the two of them were going back and forth, trying to outdo each other on the amount and the sheer, just amazing nature of the fossils that they discover. And one of the formative events in getting all of this bad blood between them was this illustration. So Cope did this, and this was his representation of an elasmosaurus. But, yeah, he put the head on the wrong end. And Marsh never let him forget about that. He was so publicly humiliated that Cope tried to buy up all copies of this book to destroy the image. Thankfully, at least for posterity, we still have some copies of it, but all the same, it's, progression. Now, yes, we're going here because I actually have kids ask about this at Mineral Fest. I have about 2-3 people ask every show that we have with our club. So I'm sorry, guys, there is no Loch Ness monster that's a plesiosaur. It's not happening. First of all, the lake itself was only formed a few thousand years ago, not millions, thousands. So it is impossible for a plesiosaur of any species to have stayed around that many millions of years past the year that it went extinct. Also, too, not to defend anybody, but a couple of folks say it's because the lake was freshwater. No, again, that just shows a couple of ignorance of plesiosaurs in general, because there were freshwater species. So that part is technically kind of sort of, you squint your eyes and look funny, true. But all the same, no, the lake is too young for there to be a plesiosaur swimming around in there. So, sorry folks, you believe what you want to, but this one just incorrect. Now, pliosaurs. Jurassic to the Cretaceous, they're 5 foot up in length. Lots and lots of different species, including the not-so-magic liopleurodon. I will not do a Charlie the Unicorn impression there, but those that follow the Facebook page a lot know that I am really, really fighting not to do that right now. Now, this is, oh my God, that is just beautiful right there. Sarcosuchus, basically an early, obviously, relative of the alligators and crocodiles. Just absolutely beautiful specimen right there. The teeth are astounding. Now, I love snakes. I really do. I like snakes a lot. But I sure as heck don't like 47-foot long worth of snakes. Oh, no, no, thank you, sir. So this was a partially marine snake from the Paleocene, 47-foot long and 2,500 pounds of, oh, heck no. Titanoboa, a very, very appropriate name. Now, its food was actually fish. It didn't go after any critters like that one over there. It was actually entirely or fairly marine enough completely to just really eat fish. We know this from the stomach contents. It's a fairly recent fossil find, but still, all the same, we've been able to analyze things. And yeah, betting you it's a beautiful, beautiful fossil. I'd like to find one, but never alive. Now, also, too, turtles. Maybe forgetting that a lot of ancient turtles were reptiles as well, let alone marine reptiles. But in this case, a very famous one, Archelon. And also, too, we have a separate video on the ancient turtles as well. And so, just in general, folks, I hope that that's a bit going into our wonderful friends of the deep. So, thank you very much. Have a lovely time. Now, go out there and find yourself some minerals and fossils. Bye.